Hello, this is Edith Newmeyer. How are you doing today? I want to do a video on hell today. I know it's going to be a very difficult video, simply because hell is a place. If there's even a place like that doesn't exist on this earth, we can't measure it, we can't touch it, we can't feel it. So it's very hard to talk about. Also, the Bible doesn't tell us very much about this word hell. Okay, I think we find this word, we borrow a lot of this understanding of what hell is really from mythology. So most likely Egyptian mythology and the underworld, which is also related to purgatory. So it's a place where the dead are tortured by demon-like creatures. Now, there's also something that Dante wrote, and I don't remember what his book was. Dante was a writer, an Italian writer from Florence in Italy, and he wrote a book about hell, and you can maybe research that. And that's where also this idea comes from, that hell is the place where people are being tortured and tormented. Now, what do we know from the Bible? In the Old Testament, what they believed is that people go to sleep. They die, they go to sleep. Okay? And Daniel, in Daniel, we read that. Daniel was told to go to sleep. Okay, after his visions, he says, you go to sleep and knowledge will increase. And that's actually a very interesting information that we're getting. Knowledge will increase, and knowledge will increase in our time. Okay, so we need to use that knowledge and understand the world. Before we continue, it's very important to go by very important information. Okay? We, humankind, lives in something, and I'm using it to kind of show our perception. Okay? We are almost like living like we're in a black box. Okay? You can think about it that way. We're living in a black box. We human beings live in a three-dimensional world. We were thrown into this three-dimensional world after we sinned, okay? After we rebelled against God. And so that's the same as putting them into a black box. And there's only one teeny little hole in this black box, maybe this big. And that's the only view we have out of that black box about what reality is. It's this teeny little hole. Can you imagine being in a black box and you have to view the world, reality, which is reality, through one small hole in that box? How would you experience reality? Very skewed. You would not see what's behind you and or beside you. You only have a very narrow view of what reality is like. And this is exactly the view we have as humankind. Very narrow. Okay? During the time of Daniel, we even had our view was even narrow. I think when whoever talked to Daniel said knowledge will increase, that really means that this hole will increase to maybe a broader picture or a window where we can look out this black hole and we see reality maybe more realistic. Okay? There's people that look out this teeny little hole. They don't want to look out the big window, but they continue to look out through this little hole and say, this world is flat. Just like the people 6,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. Our world is flat, and we are going to only describe it as a flat earth because that's all we see through this little narrow hole. And then there's people that broaden this hole and get a bigger window, and they're saying, no, the earth is round. But even when they say the earth is round, they're looking only through this kind of a window. Okay? They don't see everything. They still don't see what's behind them, beside them. Okay? What's up, what's down. They only see that much. What does that mean? Well, just like these people that have a view of a flat earth through a hole like this, these people that have a view of the earth through a window is just as skewed, okay? Or not skewed, but limited, okay? Limited. And so now we are talking about a subject called hell. Where's it located? Hello? Or let's say heaven. Is heaven somewhere up there on one of the planets? Or is hell someplace up there? Or is hell down in the earth? What they did believe 1,000 years or even 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago, they thought, well, inside, the earth, there's this hell where people go after they die and they get tormented there. But that is somebody's view, okay? Now, where do these things come from? Okay, where do these opinions, because their opinions, come from? Again, in the Old Testament, all Jews or all Hebrews didn't even believe in resurrection, because we know that from Jesus' time, that not all believed in resurrection. Jesus believed in resurrection, but I think the Sadducees did not believe in resurrection. Okay? Because there was not that much information. There's not that much information in the Old Testament. Okay? You buried, your body decays, and what do? Sleep? That's what they said. You sleep, Daniel. Okay? So we can say that, we can see that maybe death is like a sleep. But why? Because we're looking through this window right here. We don't even look through this big, hole. We don't even look at through this window. Because when we're trying to look through this window, which we're going to try today, things may look very different. And then it's only this kind of a window and not the whole picture. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. And in the past, previous religions or interpreters, theologians, only gave us this kind of a picture of reality. Okay? And what hell is, if it's even in existence. Now, there is one story about the life after death in Luke, in the Gospel of Luke. Okay? But remember, it's only I will call it a parable. Okay? It's only a parable. It's only a symbolic story. Jesus wanted to tell us a lesson. He wanted to give us a lesson. And the lesson wasn't about life after death. The lesson was actually about life. Okay? That we need to make sure that we make our decisions when we are here on earth and not after death. It's too late. But let's look at this story before we continue with our look at what hell is. Okay? And why there's confusions. Again, this definition of what hell is, who knows where it comes from. Okay? Who knows where it comes from? But what does the Bible say? Well, we know now that people, when they die, they sleep. Okay? They're not tortured. They sleep. So why then did Jesus say something different in the story about the rich man and Lazarus? Because it is a parable. It's not real. It's trying to give you information, or it tries to give you a lesson. And he's just using the story. He says, there was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every day. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores, and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. And even the dogs came and licked his sores. The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. Somebody says Abraham's bosom. Okay? So it is a place where Abraham is. Okay? Where Abraham is. The rich man also died and was buried in Hades, where he was in torment. He looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side. So he is in this place, and he wakes up, looks up. Okay, he's probably laying there, and he sees Abraham far away. Okay, far away, with Lazarus by his side. So he called to him, Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire. So now we can think, okay, he is in fire. He's tormented by fire. Okay? Is that symbolic? Yes, I definitely believe. Is it real fire? How do we even know where he is, where fire exists? Okay? Because where is he? Where in the heck is he? Is he somewhere on this earth, on another planet, on the sun, where really there's fire? Well, we're going to think about that. But if we're looking through this little hole right here, we will never find out. We need to really open up and really get a bigger window in reality, what's going on. Okay? So keep that in mind. Keep in mind, we're not looking through it like this. We're keeping in mind we need to open the window through which we look. Okay? But Abram replied, Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you, a great chasm has been set in place, so that those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from here to us. Okay? And he answered then, I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my family, for I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them, so that they will not also come to this place of torment. And Abraham replied, they have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them. Of course, Lazarus couldn't go back either into this world, because he went some other place. So now questions come up. And of course, people can really interpret them in various ways. So the place where Lazarus was and the rich man was called Hades. And Hades is the place of the dead. Okay? According also to the Greek mythology. It's a place where the dead are. Okay? If you look at this view, okay, like the Greek and the Hebrews 2,000 years ago, or 3,000, 4,000 years ago, you will not understand. You will come up with three-dimensional representations of what this place is. Remember, this is only symbolic. Jesus only used it to give them a very important message. Listen to the prophets and Moses. That's what he told them. That is the lesson. It's not a lesson about hell, a lesson about Hades, about anything, because he didn't even mention hell there. Okay, it's the underworld. Hades is the underworld. Okay? And in Daniel, they say, you sleep. Okay, you sleep. And here, though, they have actual conscience. They're speaking. Abram is speaking. Hey, tells this rich man, they have the prophets and Moses, and they need to listen to the prophets and to Moses. Okay? It's not about where hell is or where Hades is, whatever. You know why? Because it is in a world that we don't understand. Now, when we are opening this little hole that we're looking through and looking through a bigger window, we know through science, and I know I have talked about science before, and I know we can only use science as tools. Okay? Science is a tool to understand the world. It is not our God. It is not something we put on a pedestal and we follow. Jesus, God, is our God. The Creator is our God. Okay? That's who we follow. But he has given us tools to understand this world and to learn about this world. And science is one of them. And there's something called quantum science that has opened this little hole. Okay? Remember they said knowledge will increase to Daniel. Okay? You can read that. Look it up. You can find it. Daniel was told knowledge will increase. And we now have this knowledge that's increasing. Okay? And we know that what we see in this world may not necessarily be reality. The earth may not be round, flat, or whatever. It may be a simple simulation. Okay? Simple simulation. We're living in a three-dimensional world. It's hard to understand dimensions. Okay? It's hard enough to understand the dimensions we're living in. We have 3 dimensions, or maybe 4. Time could be a dimension as well. Okay? 1 dimension, 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions. Okay? But we also have time. Linear time. But then there is other dimensions that we have no idea how they work. No idea. We don't even know really how time works. Okay? Is time linear? Or is time spiral? Okay? So it started at a point, and you know what a spiral is, right? That's a spiral. Okay? Is time spiral? That means we're going on a spiral line, timeline. Okay? A lot of people believe that on the spiral timeline we're not going timeline like this, right? Okay, that's what we're thinking. Okay, we're born here and we die here. Okay? 2,000 years start here, 19, and it goes like this. But really, people believe, scientists, it's spiral. Starts right here and goes like this. Now the interesting thing is that they even think that we can jump sometimes from one timeline to the next, because it's spiral, through like a wrinkle in time. Okay? That book is an interesting book by Madeleine L'Engle. It's called Wrinkle in Time. It's a children's book. If you haven't read that book yet or seen the movie. There's just a new one came out just not too long ago. Watch that movie to understand a little bit more. Get out of this thinking and get into this thinking. Okay? God allows us the bigger thinking. He doesn't want us to stay into this thinking right here. Or we think the earth is flat. Okay? I will never go back to the thinking like this, the earth is flat. Okay? I want to go further than this thinking yet. To see, hello, maybe what we're experiencing as reality is really not a reality. Okay? We think this is solid. This is solid. Okay? My chair here is solid. But in reality, it's not solid. There's a lot of space in between. This is made out of atoms, right? And protons and neutrons and all these things. But in between, there's lots of space. This shouldn't feel solid. Why does it feel solid? Because we're perceiving it as such. And I know that goes above your head maybe, right? But yeah, that's if you continue to look through out of this box like this. You can't do that. Well, of course you can do it. But then don't put it on somebody else. Don't expect somebody else to think the same way. Okay? So now, if reality is not really what we think it is, let's continue to think about dimensions. Where are dimensions? What is the next dimension? Where is heaven? Heaven is not someplace else. Where is the place where we are going when we shed our body, we leave our body behind, and our soul or our spirit goes someplace? Okay? Our soul goes someplace. Where are we going when we're sleeping? Now, here is another example of where the souls are going. And that's in Revelation 6. Okay? We have another example of where the souls are going. And again, the souls really of the saved, the bride of Christ. So they're not sleeping. Again, it may be similar to a parable or giving us a message, because Lazarus is definitely a parable. Remember, Lazarus, we don't know really, we know it's the same place. They can see each other. So it's the same place. Lazarus and the rich man are in the same place. But there's a schism, or there's a separation between where Lazarus is and where the rich man is. Okay? Is it real physical world? Most likely not, because we're leaving the physical behind and we are only there in the spirit. Okay? So I believe, this is my understanding when I'm thinking about quantum physics, and I'm not very good. I'm not a scientist. I'm just kind of picking things together and sometimes read about these things because they're so highly interesting. Okay? So also it's kind of, I have a hard time understanding what the next dimension is like. But I can only come up with some ideas. So there's this next dimension, a plane of reality, a plane of existence, okay, that is not dependent on our physical world. Where is it? I believe it's right here, okay? Everything is right here. Every dimension is right here. It's just we can't experience it with our eyes. Remember, we're looking first through this or even through this. We cannot even see it. We cannot even beyond what we're seeing out of our black box. can experience it really at this point. You can only kind of imagine it. That people who die go into a different reality, different existence. An existence that we cannot experience with our human body, with our senses. And that's where the rich man and where Lazarus went. Now, there are two places. One place is Abraham, who was saved. He is a believer. Lazarus must have been a believer because he is with with Abraham. And then there's the other side, the unbelievers. Showing you right there, not all Hebrews were saved. Not all Jews were saved. Okay? Because they were in a different place in this afterlife, in this different dimension in Hades. Okay? Called Abraham's bosom, or Garden of Eden sometimes. Okay? So there's two places. Now, why in the world was the rich man tormented? And the fire was used. Fire. Okay? He was in fire. He was tormented in fire. Why was he tormented in fire? Okay? Did somebody torment him? He didn't say that, did he? No, he was tormented. Why do you think he was tormented? You have any idea? Now, if you are separated from God for the rest of your eternity, would you be tormented? Would you be tormented if you are disconnected from love, from fellowship, from caring people, from the Creator? From light, you're in darkness. Would you be tormented? Why are you tormented? Why is he saying, go back and tell them? And then Abraham said, well, they have who? Moses and the prophets. Why the Moses and the prophets? Because Moses and the prophets tell them about who? About Messiah. About being saved out of the dilemma that this rich man was in. Okay? This rich man was in a bad dilemma. He was disconnected from the Creator. Why? Not because he lived in luxury. No, because he lived in luxury and he did not follow the prophets and Moses. He didn't listen to the prophets and Moses that said, Messiah is coming. You are lost, guy. If you're not accepting Jesus, you are lost. You're going to be living in darkness the rest of eternity. This is what Jesus is trying to tell them, not about Hades or hell or somebody is being tormented there. No, he's saying that he was tormented. You need to think about, why was he tormented? Well, he was tormented. Number one is because he was also thinking about his brothers that he knew they were probably going the same direction. Rejecting Messiah, rejecting God, living a worldly life, living in luxury, and not thinking about the Creator. So this is the picture that we're having. Nothing about hell here, right? No. It talks about Hades. So again, where's these false ideas coming from? Well, they're coming from things like Dante, who was writing this crazy stuff. Okay? Crazy stuff. Remember, this is only a made-up story by Dante or any of the mystical, stories. This is what we're having. So this is, of course, how things looked before Jesus died on the cross. So there was a holding tank called Hades of the dead, all the dead. Okay? All the dead were right there. holding tank. You know, the ones that are lost, that rejected God, didn't have time for him, and then those who believed in the Creator, like Abraham, and of course Lazarus. But many say, and I don't find it right now, but I think there is something in reference to Jesus going into Hades, and I don't remember where it would be. You can actually research that yourself. Okay, where Jesus actually went. I don't know if Paul was telling that, if it's in Acts, where Jesus went after he died, before he went into heaven, after he died, I think before his resurrection, went into Hades. Okay, took out all believers that were in Abraham's bosom, or the side of Abraham. Abraham's bosom, of course, is the side of Abraham, right? All that were with Abraham in that section where Abraham were. And he went there and he took them to what people now also call heaven. Okay, now where is that place located? Heaven. Okay, well, it's in another dimension as well. I don't know if it's then the dimension after that one, or if it is the next dimension still. Now we know Jesus went into heaven, this next dimension, this, somewhere. Who knows? Next dimension. Okay, and that's where he is preparing a place for us. Okay, a place for us, called New Jerusalem, the mountain of God, which will come down after the wrath of God. That's where Jesus is reigning from. That's the place for his bride, where the bridegroom and the bridegroom lives. And it's coming down. It's coming from this other dimension where he's creating it right now in heaven, into this world, into this three-dimensional world. So we all can see it. That's what he's building right now. When he picks up his bride, that's where he takes his bride in this other dimension. Okay? And then they come back together. But now going back to the people, remember I said he went into Hades. He picked up those people in Hades, okay, and took them with him where he is now building the New Jerusalem. In heaven. Call that heaven. Okay? Again, we're looking through this eye, through this lens. It's heaven. We're looking through the window. It's another dimension. That's where he took them. Now, the people that are not saved, not bride, not the saved ones, they're still somewhere in this other dimension in Hades. Okay? They're still somewhere in this other dimension. But it's in a dark place. It's away from God. Okay? And it's a place, if they even have conscience, of torment. Okay? Now let me add something here before I continue with the people that go to heaven. Remember I said that in our dimension, we are locked into a time spiral. Okay? So we are affected by time. When we go to the next dimension, I don't think time exists. Okay? It's like being in a maze, and little mouse is in a maze and you don't know where you're going. But when you get out of the maze, you can see the maze from the top. Okay? This maze doesn't exist. You're right up on top and you can put this little mouse right there to the end. You understand? That's how this dimension is. We are taken out of this time dimension. When we're in this other dimension, time is not existing as we see it now. So it's very possible that not too much time will pass, if there's even such thing as time, when from the time we die and we are placed into this other dimension, or we're, in that other dimension, to the time when we are resurrected. It's very possible that hardly any time will pass. It's just like I'm taking this mouse from right here, taking out and putting it over here on the timeline again. Okay? That's just how it is. Not very much time passed from here unless the mouse goes through this little, whatever it is, spirals. Time will pass. But if I pick up this mouse right here and put it at the end of the maze, time didn't move one bit. Okay? And it's very possible that this is how things work. When we die today and we're resurrected, hardly anything passed. Okay? Hardly anything passed. Because if we're looking at eternity, time doesn't exist. And I hope you understand this. Okay? Because it's all important when we're talking about what is hell. We don't find the word hell in the Bible. Now, there is something called the lake of fire, which will come at the end, after the 1,000-year reign of Christ. And it's a different story again. It's not something that exists really right now on our timeline. Because we're just talking about something that's called time, right? And how strange time is. So, but let's look at what Jesus did with the souls of the people that were in Abraham's bosom. Because now they end up in heaven under the altar. Okay? Again, symbolism. Don't take it literal. Symbolism. But look what it says right here. When he opened the fifth seal, and that is in Revelation 6:9. When he opened the sixth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain because of the word of God and the testimony they had maintained. Now, these are not just souls that were slain. These are all the souls of all the saved, the bride of Christ. They called out in a loud voice, "How long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants of the earth and avenge our blood?" Then each of them was given a white robe, and they were told to wait a little longer until the full number of their fellow servants, their brothers and sisters, were killed just like they had been. Okay? So they have conscience. They're speaking out. Is it symbolic? Is it similar to a parable? Most likely. Okay, most likely. But nevertheless, they're aware. They're under the altar now. This is what Jesus took all the souls of those that were in Hades, or they were somewhere waiting for Jesus to resurrect. And Jesus starting, of course, the New Jerusalem. And now they're under the altar and wait for the resurrection, which is also them getting a body. Okay, a new body. The body will be transformed, or they get a new body. Their souls will get a new body because they need that when they come back with him on this earth. Just like Jesus' body was transformed, he needs a body to be on this earth. So these dead will again get a new body, a transformed body. Okay? And so then they can come back. But they have to wait until all people are come in. Okay? All are saved. Now again, think about time. We're not stuck in time. Okay? When all this happened, when we're in the next dimension, we're not stuck in time. So one thing can happen after another. But now let's, at the end, because my time is almost up, let's go to the end. What will happen at the end? Okay? A lot of people confuse that too. The lake of fire, is that hell? No, it doesn't say hell. It's the lake of fire. And we can find that in Revelation. Let's try 20. Because I think that's when it says that they will be judged. Yeah. When I saw a great white throne in here, and that is, now we're in Revelation 20, verse 11. That is after the millennium. Okay? Now it says there is a fire. Now let's look at this first. This is in verse 10 already. And the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire. That is after the 1,000-year reign of Christ. Okay? He was thrown into the lake of fire. Burning with sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet had been thrown. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Okay? They will be tormented. Okay? Is it they will be in torment, or is somebody tormenting them? I don't think somebody is tormenting. They will be in torment day and night forever and ever. We see the same thing with the Lazarus and the rich man. Okay? They were also the rich man was also in torment. Nobody was tormenting him. And then you see a great white throne. Okay? And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and the book were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged according to what they had done, as recorded in the books. The sea gave up the dead. See, he's talking about the sea, and that's Hades, gave up the dead. And each person was judged according to what they had done. Then the death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. The lake of fire is the second death. Everyone whose name was not written or found written in the book of life was thrown into the lake of fire. That's the second death. Okay? So the second death is what? Disconnection, total disconnection from God. And lake of fire, I cannot tell you, really. Okay? Is it, here it says about sulfur. Now, this is a vision, of course, of what? It's a vision of John. That's the way he saw it in his vision, as a fire, lake of fire. Where is it? Now, we know that at the end, everything will burn up. Okay? No earth is going to be here anymore. So where is this lake of fire, and what is it? I don't think we have any idea what it is. I cannot imagine what it is. But I know it's not literal lake of fire. No, it's not. Okay? The sun is the sun, a lake of fire. It's a place of fire. Okay? What I know for sure is that these people are tormented because they're disconnected from God, from the Creator. That's what their torment is. Knowing that there is no return. Knowing they made all these mistakes. They purposely rejected God. Okay? They purposely rejected God, the Creator. And now there is no more turning back. Now, that is going to be their torment. It's going to be their torment. Okay? It's not, oh, there's going to be demons, because the demons are also thrown in the lake of fire. Okay? The fallen angels are thrown in the lake of fire. everything is thrown that is not with God, but not with Jesus, is thrown in the lake of fire. It is just a separation from the Creator, outer darkness. Sometimes they say they're thrown into outer darkness, okay, where there is gnashing of teeth or something like that, okay. It's also connected with outer darkness, not just fire. Here John just saw fire, okay. It says also, and death and Hades gave up the dead. Hades, see here, that word Hades is used again. That is the holding tank for the souls, okay, for the souls. So it's very difficult to understand because we are so bound by a three-dimensional world. And we need to try to open our mind, because that's what we have today. We have today really things where we can broaden our understanding. And not go like this again and think, oh, the earth is flat. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, and hell is a place where people are tormented with pitchforks by these little demons. Okay, I think people, you need to wake up. I'm coming to an end, and I hope this helped. I hope this helped to understand these difficult concepts of hell and heaven and where we're going to go. Okay? Because I do sometimes bring it in. When I talk about the New Jerusalem, where is Jesus now building this New Jerusalem? Of course, we're saying in heaven, right? But where is heaven? Okay? When he's coming down, or when he brings down his New Jerusalem, how is that happening? Well, I believe it's a big spaceship, okay, an interdimensional spaceship. That's what I think. Anyways, I'm coming to an end. Let me know what you think. You have things you want to add to it versus you want to add to this that you have been reading. That would be really great. But hey, no matter what, let the Holy Spirit guide you always.